Before you watch this episode of our City Current radio show, I want to invite you to join City Current's e-learning and online personal development platform called Growth Current. I'm Jeremy Park, host of the City Current radio show and CEO of City Current. Growth Current is your exclusive ticket to attend virtual events with global thought leaders, national guest speakers, and experts who can help you grow personally and professionally. It gives you access to success secrets, lessons learned, learning modules, and so much more. Being online, you can join us from anywhere in the world. Subscriptions are only $8 a month, or you can do bulk subscriptions for your team. Check out growthcurrent.com to learn more and to join us in our efforts to power the good. And now, on to the show. Welcome to the City Current Radio Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference, powering the good. And we get to kick it off talking about Persevere. We are joined by their CEO, Gerald Brown, and also their Tennessee Program Director, Stacey Books-Mesko. So how are you two doing?
Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thank you.
So Gerald, let's start with you. Give us a little bit of history for Persevere.
So Persevere started about 6 years ago from our founder, Sean Hausman, who was just as impacted himself. He ran a Fortune 500 company and had a stint while incarcerated that he felt there needed to be a niche started to help out people who were going through the criminal justice system. And so after 4 or 5 years of us being incorporated, we were able to start providing services 2 years ago in January of 2019. And so that's how Persevere started.
So you all are a national nonprofit, and obviously we're going to talk about statewide, the effort across Tennessee and the growth and the expansion, which is exciting. Dive in a little deeper because there is a lot to this in terms of both the programmatic side, but also the storyline side. And as you mentioned, your founder, I believe it was drug addiction, but it was, him going into the prison and seeing from ex-offender standpoint, they weren't being given the opportunities. And so then looking at technology as a huge opportunity, how can you kind of meld these two worlds with employability skills, coding, opportunities, mentoring to then give them a track for success? So I think there's a lot of neat storylines to what you do there.
Yeah, they are. And let me just share a little context. There's roughly 2.2 million people that are incarcerated in the United States, about 50,000 that are incarcerated in jails and prison right here in the state of Tennessee. And all of these men and women are looking for opportunities once they're released and transition back into society. And Sean felt that there was a great opportunity to help support men and women with a skill set that would benefit them as they transition out. We're in the technological age. Why not teach guys and girls to learn how to code and really get into the IT field? And from there, the opportunities are endless because there's a shortage of folks that are going into that field. I think there's 1 million jobs nationwide for tech jobs, and there's a 2.2 million people rather that have an opportunity to apply for those jobs with the right skills. So that's really why we exist. And since our inception, we really started to do some wraparound services to really help not only just the workforce development side, but also help them as they transition out with mental health and addiction services and some housing. So Stacey can speak to that because she's right in the thick of that and leading our efforts here in Tennessee.
So Stacey, go ahead and talk about on your end where it starts. So where does the magic start in terms of someone kind of entering in, and walk us through the program?
So when we first started our program in January of 2019, we were really focused on those individuals that were currently incarcerated. What we do is we reach out to them, explain to them about our program, and even our on-the-job training side along with the transitional home. Kind of give you an idea of how the office itself started. We have individuals that are incarcerated at MLTC here in Memphis, and those individuals, the way our program is run there, they are 6 months during incarceration and then 6 months on the work release program. So we had to have an office for them to come to. Once the work release individuals started coming into the office, we realized not only was it important for them to receive hands-on on-the-job training, but it was also important for those individuals that were being released from incarceration prior to graduation and even after graduation to receive even additional on-the-job training. So that's what we do here in our office in Memphis. We also have individuals that are released throughout the state that aren't able to come into our office. And so those individuals continue their education remotely with an instructor. And then they also do on-the-job training with us as well. One of the reasons why we opened the transition home is I have an individual who was part of our program who had been homeless for 17 years. And he told me, he was like, you can teach me to code, you can find me a job, but I have no idea what it's like to live in a home, maintain a home, or even pay bills. And so we realized the need for those individuals that were being released to have a safe place to go. So we purchased a home, we opened it. And one of the things that we have found about the transition home is not only is it a safe, sober living environment for them, but it also allows them to support one another, whether it's a spiritual support or whether it's a coding support or even support when it comes to finding employment and family reunification. So we've watched a lot of changes take place, even down to individuals reuniting with parents that they may have not had a relationship with before, and then of course juveniles.
When you talk about taking someone who doesn't have any background in coding to then give them the structure, talk about kind of the time frame of giving them the skills, and then to your point, layering on the support and the employability, the soft skills, all of those things that then make them employable. So talk about kind of that time frame and that structure to get them from no experience to then experienced enough to where they can find a successful career.
So our coding program is a 12-month program, and a lot of that takes place while they are incarcerated. We also have a side of our program that's more of a holistic approach where we're involving adults that have been previously incarcerated or justice involved, along with juveniles that have been justice involved. And so it's really a whole family service that we're providing. But a lot of it starts inside the prison. And so they spend that 12 months with an instructor. That instructor is a software developer. And so that's who instructs them during that 12-month period. So they also learn how to work in a dev shop, what it's like to work on tickets, to work in a team, to work individually. During that same time period, we also teach them essential skills that they're going to need because we have to change that mindset prior to them being released and going to work. So during that 12 months, they're also provided career readiness. They're provided Persevere Plus, which is a curriculum that we created. And it really works on financial fitness, the family reunification side. It works on recovery because a lot of our individuals coming out are in recovery. And so we felt like not only it was more than just teaching them to code, and it was more than finding them a job. In the end, our entire goal was to watch. And for them to be able to succeed, we had to provide those additional services. Once they're released and they come out, they are on a 6-month on-the-job training program where they work on real-world projects. And so we've seen a big difference in them over that 12-month period and even into that next 6 months.
Carry that forward into what you've seen as opportunities to break down those barriers. And I'm thinking things like having the record, and as you said, being able to work in real time on the job training, building relationships, which then allow them to create the relationships that give them the pathway to success. So talk about kind of knocking down some of those barriers that then get them where they need to go over those humps.
Well, one of the great things about technology is a lot of companies don't look at your criminal history. What they look at is your coding knowledge and whether or not you can code. And so that criminal background is not as important as it is what your knowledge base is. And we also, we take them through an entire process of even how to talk to individuals when it's brought up of what their criminal background is. So they have to be able to kind of own it, and then they have to be able to move forward and kind of express what they've learned and what type of projects they've worked on and kind of where they are and where they're going.
Nice. Talk about expanding across the state of Tennessee. That's a big news. And so, between the two of you, kind of talk about this big news in terms of expansion.
Go ahead,
Yeah, as Stacey mentioned, that a lot of folks, as they transition out of incarceration, if they don't have a stable environment to go to, then studies show that they're probably going to go back to what landed them in prison or an environment that's not conducive for them being successful. So it's important, as I mentioned, there's right 56,000 individuals that are incarcerated in prison and jails across the state of Tennessee. And the majority of them, unfortunately, don't have somewhere to go that's successful reentry back into society. So our current transitional home can house up to, I think, 8, if I'm not mistaken, Stacey. And so 7, excuse me. So that's a lot more need for our resources. And so we want to actually expand our footprint in Memphis and also expand in Middle Tennessee and East Tennessee as well over the next couple of years. And in order to do that, we're going to need the community support to help us with infrastructure development, as well as a capital campaign and capacity as well.
Yeah, which leads to the next question is, what are the ways we can help? And to your point, obviously, financial contributions to underwrite the efforts and to support is one piece of it. I'm also thinking for corporations, on their end, being able to plug in with job opportunities and being able to kind of create that pipeline, that's another big one. So carry that forward.
Yeah, a big part of what we do outside of some of the things that Stacey mentioned, as far as providing housing and coding, is we really get them ready for the job market. And so they get a theoretical standpoint while in prison. They get to apply those practical skills while they're on the job training. And then we really try to set them up with partners that we developed over that time frame to say, we've taken them from here to now they're ready to join the workforce. And we can attest that we've walked them through that step from start to finish. And so as many partners that we can try to garner throughout the state of Tennessee would be beneficial for our guys to easily segue in. And a lot of our clients find our program extremely attractive because we help them on so many fronts. We help them personally, psychologically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. We also give them skill sets that'll benefit them in the job market moving forward and stabilize them with housing. And I guess the last key component to that is finding partnerships that beyond just the on-the-job training that can have a career instead of just a job.
And I think from the corporate side, you're building the credibility. They know that you're stepping in and equipping them with the skill sets, but you're also with the support. You're giving them all of the foundational opportunities for success so that when they do step into that corporate role, they know that they're getting somebody who is trustworthy, who's a good employee, who's going to deliver great value. So it becomes a win-win on everyone's side, which I think is really important for the credibility and the trustworthiness of what you're building.
Absolutely. So many of us, regardless if you've been criminal, if you had any type of criminal activity in your life, need a helping hand, need an opportunity. I feel like everyone that has been through the criminal justice system has some redeeming good in them. And our job is to help them find that and help them believe that. And society's job is to give people a second chance. I think when folks go to prison, they've paid their debt to society. And once they come out, it's up to us and friends of Persevere and the community as a whole to accept them back in and not have a scarlet letter or some type of stain on their dignity. And we want to help facilitate that as best we can. I think the partnerships are essential to that folks to understand that this is where people were either 5, 10, 20, 30 years ago, and this is who they are now. And it would behoove us as a community to wrap our arms around them and give them an opportunity.
Stacey, what's something that you wish everyone knew about Persevere?
Oh gosh. I wish they knew more about us. We've been here in Memphis for we opened the transition home in the office a little over a year and a half ago. And what I would really like for people to realize is, what we're doing and what we're providing is life-changing. When being justice involved myself, one of the things that I've heard for a really long time is, well, I'm a felon, no one's ever going to hire me. Or, no, I'm never going to find, a job paying more than minimum wage. And so society already has a mark on us. And I think what Persevere does is we take them to a completely different level. We encourage them, we teach them, we support them, we become their family. And so we give them that power within them to really move forward and to not be what society says that we're going to be.
Gerald, what would you add to that? What do you want everybody to know about Persevere?
I think everyone should know that folks who are just as impacted are no different than themselves, no different than their neighbor. With the amount of folks that are being incarcerated because of drug addictions or mental health issues, we have to make sure we stand with everyone, because it's not just the individuals who are incarcerated, it is their families as well that are affected too. And studies show that there's a really high percentage, I think 2 out of 3 of children whose parents have been incarcerated will go down that path as well. So we're not only just helping the individual now in the present, but we're helping the next generation, and trying to reunify these families too is a group effort. We can't do it alone. We're just a facilitator. And so I want the community to know that let's not look down on folks or pass any type of perception on anyone until you get to meet them and understand their story and where they're going.
We'll go ahead and wrap up with website, social media, phone numbers. Where do we go to learn more and to raise our hand and be a part of the effort?
So the best way to find out what we do is go to perseverenow.org. Email info@perseverenow.org, and either Stacey or I or one of our team members will reach out to anyone that wants an inquiry, and we'll try to get folks as best we can to visit our site, learn how they can volunteer. We have an extreme need for not only partners, but volunteers to help be mentors. It can be in person or virtually, depending on someone's preference. That's very good, very important for returning citizens to have a mentor to kind of welcome them back into society and really try to build their self-confidence as well. A little bit of that has happened with our instructors and our family atmosphere, but for a complete stranger to say, "Hey, I'm here to help you," is something that's extremely uplifting to the person that's transitioning back into society.
Absolutely. Well, Gerald, Stacey, thank you for all you and your team do. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.